97.3. Come on. Let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let Citi relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
Hello, good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. Welcome to Eyewitness News, live from our studios here at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. My name is Nanatufu Boateng, and I'm here with
Akusia Oche.
Coming up over the next 1 hour, 30 minutes.
With immediate effect, government is placing a ban on the export of grains, including maize, rice, soya bean, until the situation normalizes.
Government places temporary ban on export of grains as part of measures to avert a possible food shortage due to the drought being experienced in parts of the country. The government is also voting some 8 billion Ghana cedis to address the crisis. We'll be looking into the figures on the show. Also coming up, exciting times ahead as the 2024 elections beckon. We'll look at the launch of the NDC's manifesto over the weekend and the defense of the NPP manifesto promises by Dr. Baumia at the meeting with the media. And later on the show, President Akufo-Addo cut sword for expansion works on the Accra-Tema motorway to begin. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and other stories on Eyewitness News. But later,
Ghana's inflation rate forecasted to fall between 15% and 18% by end of 2024.
That will be on business news on Eyewitness News. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates, including Adrimpa 100.7 FM in Takwa, Sky Power 93.5 FM in Takrade, and Beach 105.5 FM also in Takrade, all in the Western region. We're live in the Bono regional capital, Sunyane, on Greener 95.9 FM. Join us in the Ashanti region on Adrimpa 99.9 FM in Nkarie. You're listening to us in the Volta region on Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohoi and Freedom 88.1 FM in Sogakope. Join us in the Northern region on Radio Gaki 88.3 FM in Saboba. This is Quality 88.7 FM in Garu in the Upper East region. And you can join us on Nobia 98.1 FM in Nalerigu in the Northeast region. Eyewitness News is also live around the globe on citynewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome via our WhatsApp line 0549 986 996. Send us your thoughts, your comments, and contributions. Let's begin the bulletin from the agri sector. Akusia has our first story.
The government has imposed an immediate ban on the export of grains due to the ongoing dry spell affecting the northern regions of the country. Our Minister of Food and Agriculture, Brian Champong, announced this decision during a press briefing earlier today. He explained that the ban aims to ensure the availability of crops for the domestic market amid the challenging weather conditions. Or to mitigate the impact on farmers, Mr. Champong urged those with grain stocks to reach out to district directors, aggregators, and the crops directorate across the country if they are interested in selling.
The immediate interventions from now to January 2025. The following measures have been approved by government for implementation by the ministry to avert a food security crisis. With immediate effect, government is placing a ban on the export of grains, including maize, rice, soya bean, until the situation normalizes. This measure is essential, and interested in selling should contact our district directorates across the country, our district aggregators, or the Directorate of Crops. With the projected shortfall in grain supply, up into the ECOWAS grain reserve to bridge the gap. Government will also bring in 300,000 metric tons of maize and 150,000 metric tons of rice to provide food support to vulnerable farmers who have lost their crop and also for the market. Additionally, we will bring in a total volume of 26,000 metric tons of poultry feed to directly support the poultry industry as maize, their main raw material, affected. The following interventions will also be targeted directly at farmers to bring them relief. We have identified 928,523 farmers in 8 million hectares who are at risk. Government has decided to provide financial support amounting to 1,000 Ghana cedis per hectare to the most vulnerable among these farmers as partial cover for their investment. Government will also affected vulnerable farmers to enable them meet their minimum nutritional requirement. Input support, seed replanting assistance. For farmers whose crops have failed due to the lack of rain, we will be launching a replanting support program. This will include the provision of fast maturing seeds that can still be planted within the remaining window of the season. Farmers who need to replant will also fertilizers to ensure that they can still yield. And the government intervention will be to provide them with some input grant, and they also have access to the input credit. This will help mitigate the financial burden on farmers who are facing additional costs due to the dry spell. Let me also mention that there will be a boost in input support for farmers in the southern sector to maximize their production in the.
Or you heard that the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Brian Champong. Meanwhile, the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says government is making available some 350 million cedis to address the crisis in the short term.
We are seeking to raise about $500 million, the equivalent of 8 billion Ghana cedis, to fund the crisis response program. This is so much money. But we are doing this also at a time when our buffers are almost depleted. We are entering the 8th month or the 9th month of our fiscal year. The budget has been implemented so far for about 8 to 9 months. And you should expect that most of are not there any longer. So this is a difficulty, but we have to raise the funds. As a responsible government, as a sensitive government as we are, His Excellency the President has directed that we do everything within our power to find the money to fund the government response. So far, from the budget side, we have been able to secure up to $160 million. That's about 2.5 billion Ghana cedis. This is largely coming from the contingency fund, which our constitution established. And so we intend to trigger the processes for accessing the contingency fund. We are also doing what we call budgetary alignment to reallocate some funds that were originally meant for other purposes towards addressing the crisis. And so together, 2.5 billion Ghana cedis is being mobilized from the budget side. We also relying on our development partners, and we've had serious engagements with partners over the past 1 week or so. And within this short period, we can report that we are able to secure 155 million US dollars. That is about 2.4 billion, almost 2.5 billion Ghana cedis. And so out of the 8 billion Ghana cedis we are seeking to mobilize, we can say that we have visibility on about 5 billion Ghana cedis that we want to use, and use it quickly to respond to this crisis. It may be interesting to also note that the part coming from the development partners, World Bank, used for such as the cash transfers and also to support input supplies.
Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam is Finance Minister.
Let's go over on the phone lines and speak to the immediate past General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU, Edward Karowe. Good evening, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you for your time this evening. I hope you're well.
I'm doing well, very strong.
Right. Now, the government says that over 920,000 farmers are likely to lose about 7.4 billion cedis of investments if their crops fail, owing to the dry spell being recorded in some parts of the country. Is this the reality, or is there another picture that you can paint to us?
Well, let me say good evening and then thanks for the opportunity. I think what government has given us by way of statistics, we should consider that as conservative figures. It could even be more. So, because government may not be able to reach every part of the affected areas, count every farm, see every farm, and be able to have that data. So what government has given out, in my view, is a conservative figure. It is likely to be more than that, but not less anyway.
Well, how widespread is the situation?
Well, the whole of the northern regions, and then also part of Brunhafo regions, and then also northern Volta are all affected. So it is widespread, and it's a large area of our country that has been affected, and also the particular, area is a food basket of the country. As is known, it's over 60% of Ghana's food stock comes from that part of the country. So you can imagine the impact it is having on our food stock. The rest is just left with 40% of our food stock, which comes from the other parts of the country. So, and you know that we are already in food crisis before this drought came in. We saw it on our market, where price of foodstuffs are just beyond the reach of many consumers. I know more so at a time when prices have been down, the prices are still going up because this is the harvesting period season in the southern part of the country. So prices have been down, but in this year in particular, prices are still very high. So the drought has only come to exacerbate the existing food crisis.
What is the danger this portends for us, especially regarding food security?
Well, our food security has now been in more danger than before. But we knew that given all the things affecting agriculture, production in this country, this year we're going to have the worst of food security challenges as compared to the previous years. Now, this drought has come, and we shouldn't think that we are out of the woods yet. We are not. The Barry Dam effect is going to exacerbate the problem, and then from now until September 15th to 20th, we expect heavy rains. And if these rains become so much, they may cause flooding. So when they cause flooding, the surviving farms, or the farms that have survived the drought, and the crops that have survived the crops may be affected again. So you can see that the estimates that have been given to us now is as it is today. But we shouldn't think that that is the end of it. And we should only pray that we don't get so much heavy rains to cause much more havoc to livestock, crops, and then human life.
One wonders, how did we get here in the first place? I mean, we know that the drought is an occurrence, more or less a natural phenomenon, although there is some level of climate change impact in there. But is it that we're not heeding to weather warnings? Is it that we already do not have measures in place for future occurrences such as this? How did we get here?
You know, we got here by our own negligence or refusal to do what we have to do. If it is drought, this is not the first time we've had drought, and we should not think that this particular drought will be the last. But as to when it will come, we don't know. So, in view of that, those who came before us, leaders who came before us, decided to build some dams. If you look at the Tono irrigation dam, it was built by the Achampong at his time. He built that one and the Via Dam and other dams. What we needed to be doing over the period is to be increasing our irrigation, share of agriculture. And that's why we were so much excited after many years of advocacy that we should build more dams. The government finally came with the Pologo multipurpose dam, which we were all excited. But as we speak, it isn't that we didn't know that we'll be running into crisis. We didn't know that there's a need for us to increase irrigation agriculture to increase our food stock. We knew about all that, but how did we fare so far? The dam, as it stands now, has not been constructed. The One Village, One Dam, unfortunately, has not also been successful. So it isn't that we are not aware, but it's just that we want to wish things away. We want to have easy way of doing things. Now that the drought has come, you can see the seriousness in the eyes of the government, the ministers who spoke about what they are going to do. They will now find the money. They will do this. They will get from development partners. They will make sure that it is non-partisan, and so on and so forth. We wouldn't have gotten to where we are today. As for droughts, they always come. As for natural disasters, they come. But it is for that reason that we put in measures to mitigate natural disasters when they come. They have spoken so well. They have had good intentions. But again, just like in the past, policies have had good intentions, but the implementation has never been good at all. You see, we are even fortunate today that this drought only occurred in the northern part of the country. If it had come to the southern part of the country, it would have been more serious than it is now. But we have destroyed the entire southern part of the country with this galamsey. You see, so much as we are putting in place measures to deal with this disaster, and then also to guarantee that there's food in the country by banning exportation of foodstuffs and so on, these are temporary measures. The long-term measures, we are not addressing them well. You know, we also have our own version of climate change. And our own version of climate change is galamsey. I know, which is more devastating than the climate change that we know, you know, because that one is permanent. The lands are destroyed permanently, the forest is destroyed permanently, the rivers are polluted all over. They are all permanent destruction. So it is more dangerous than even the climate change that we know. So these are all things that, whilst we are trying to deal with the recent drought, I was thinking that government will also come out with a clear outline as to how, by the end of the year, they will have reduced the galamsey activities to some level, reduce it by 10% or 20% or 30%. And let's now interrogate that. Then we know that there's a plan forward. But as of now, no one is talking about it at all.
Now, Doc, in the short term, as we heard the minister announce, this ban on exportation of grains, how critical is it?
Well, we have no choice than to make the ban because we already do not have enough grain, and then with this drought, so that's the only choice we have to make. Now, if we make this ban, the next thing is to make sure that you actually enforce the ban. I also listened to the Minister for Defense that they would deploy the security to help. No, the question one is asking is, where was the security in the past? We have had so many smuggling going on, not only foodstuffs, but including inputs that we have used foreign exchange to buy, including our cocoa, smuggling of cocoa. Where was this security? I mean, where was the Minister for Defense? Why didn't he deploy the security to make sure that we hold or we minimize the smuggling of cocoa outside the country? So again, we just think that I hope that the seriousness that they have come today to meet and speak to the Ghanaian population, they will continue with that to make sure that the implementation is properly done, so that we don't come and lose money yet we have not achieved the results.
Now, the government has its flagship initiative, the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative. Government has said that some 3 billion Ghana cedis has already been expended under this initiative. With the current situation we're facing, this drought, this dry spell, and its impact on crops and food security, what does it say about this Planting for Food and Jobs?
You know, so we even have a lot of doubts with the phase 2, the Planting for Food and Jobs 2.0. We had some concerns about the manner in which it was being implemented. And then this has only come to exacerbate the problem. So what it means is that that particular program is in jeopardy now. It's in jeopardy. So we are not going to have the effect of it, much of it this year, because the whole concentration from now onward is to deal with that. And I've also heard them say they are dispatching fertilizers and inputs. They will make sure that it's non-partisan. They want people to register on their platform that they've created, and that those who have registered on the platform, they will be served and the rest. Well, we know very well that we have not concluded registration of farmers on the platform. It is not just as easy as that. Even we, those who are literate, and we are in the cities, network is not all the time good for us. How much more those in the rural areas? So if they are going to rely on only those who have registered on the platform to be able to service them, there will be many more vulnerable farmers who will be cut out from these services. So they need to have multiple measures combining those that have registered on the platform and then those that are genuinely in need of support, yet they are not on the platform to support them. So, and then again, governments should take the lead, to lead the group to implement these broad-based measures to address the drought impact on the Ghana's food security. But they must involve the appropriate stakeholders in it so that they will make sure that it is properly done. But if it is left to government alone, of course, it doesn't have the capacity to deal with this very huge challenge.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and we wish you well.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Edward Karawe is the immediate past General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Stay with us. When we come back, we track back into a weekend of resets and upgrades and do a deep dive into the manifestos of the NDC and the NPP. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. Now, what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car? No, I don't change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel where I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car, they run like electric car. No, it's so. This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine, they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir. Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. One pair way now open there. Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel? Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you. Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why you hand my gobe inside? I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small. Go. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Yeah. We have a new leader in town. OBRNT. I'm for. Me don't want to be when him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal Pack with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. Let's do some politics stories. Now, the opposition National Democratic Congress has unveiled a detailed 26-point plan outlining its priorities for the first 120 days in office if the party wins the 2024 general elections. Now, the strategies, according to the party, forms a part of promises made to reset the country towards development. Here's more in this report.
It was a colorful event on Saturday as Winneba was painted in red, white, green and black colors following the launch of the NDC's 2024 manifesto. Speeches from the manifesto committee, leadership of the NDC, flag bearer of the party and running mate to John Mahama, Professor Opoku Agyeman, sought to give hope to supporters and the Ghanaian people. During the launch of the party's policy document, the NDC flag bearer John Mahama indicated that he will wage a ruthless war against corruption by forming a task force which will be known as Operation Recover or Loot. He indicated that during his tenure, no political appointee in his administration will be allowed to purchase state assets.
We need a leadership that will crack the ship when its own appointees go down the wrong track. We need a responsive government that will respect the rights and freedoms of our citizens, including journalists, and address the ongoing decay of state institutions and fight corruption by deploying the Operation Recover All the Loot principle.
Citizens' movement against corruption share thoughts on the Operation Recover or Loot policy. Adam Senano is member of the movement.
Our laws have been breached and persons have appropriated for themselves by defrauding, by pretensing, by false pretenses, etc. There is that opportunity to retrieve. I think it is more relevant where we'll see the institutions of state will not have to wait until there is a specific government coming in to tackle, investigate, address issues of corruption. And I think that if the current institutions took up this matter, we shouldn't have a situation where one government that is going out or another government that is coming in is now saying that when we come in, we will now investigate.
The party also reviewed the document titled Mahama's First 120 Days Social Contract with the People of Ghana, which was released as part of the manifesto. The key highlights of Mr. Mahama's plan include the formation of what he promises will be the leanest and most efficient government in Ghana's Fourth Republic within the first 90 days. But one of these many social contracts that have caught attention is the party's move to reinvestigate some electoral violence cases.
We will commence investigative processes to purge state security agencies of all militia and vigilante elements who are causing havoc in our country. 20. We'll reopen investigations into major unresolved criminal cases, including the 2020 election killings, Ayawaso West Wagomba election violence, murder of Ahmed Swale and Silas Wulo Chame. We'll investigate the 58 million National Cathedral scandal, illegal and inflated single-source contracts, bus scandals, and many others.
That was the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, ending that report. Let's still stay on the NDC's manifesto and get a better understanding of some of the points in there. We're going live to speak to the Member of Parliament for Bongo, Edward Bauer. Good evening, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. And congratulations on that successful manifesto launch.
Thank you very much. I think that it is purely when you are motivated by genuine concern for your people, it inspires you to write and organize a very good manifesto launch.
All right, let's get into the details, and we want to zero in on Mr. Mahama's first 120-day social contract with the people of Ghana and some of the issues that were raised in there. First off, the former president and flag bearer of the NDC is on governance, is looking to nominate within the first 14 days the complete list of cabinet ministers for parliamentary approval and to constitute the leanest and most efficient government under the Fourth Republic in the first 90 days in office. We're looking at the size of government and the numbers and the ability to constitute this lean and efficient government within the first 90 days. What exactly is the plan directly to achieve this?
Yeah, so thank you very much. I think that first, let me make it very clear that, specifically, I am mandated to speak on the energy sector. But it is also important that at least whilst I'm on your platform, if you raise issues like this, I should be able to make some comments on them.
Very well.
You know very clearly that His Excellency the President, based on a lot of proposals that had come out, people had indicated that looking at the size of our population and over the years, and based also on the experimentations that other governments within the Fourth Republic had made, we realized that we could at least run government business with a limited number of people. So he had actually, somewhere last year thereabout, indicated that he was going to run a very lean government. And so he gave a proposal that he was going to have 60 ministers, and this includes even the regional ministers and deputy ministers, and that he was not going to go beyond that particular, level. Clearly, what he intended doing was one, we are facing a situation where the country is really bleeding. The country is going through very serious challenges, and therefore government must be seen, one, to be the one being very responsible in terms of judicious use of its resources. And therefore, based on the calculations that he has made, and looking at the fact that he has actually been a president before, he knew very clearly that he did not need more than 60 ministers to be able to run his government. And he has cleared, he has some clarity of thinking as to how that can be achieved. And that's why he indicated that in 14 days, he was going to first make sure that he names all his ministers, appointees, and then submit that list to Parliament for Parliament to vet them, to go through the various processes as prescribed by our Constitution. But he went further to say, in most cases, sometimes you realize that government comes into power, and then for 6 months they have not finished with the appointments and other things. But because of the seriousness of the situation that we find ourselves in, it is important that he ensures that all his representatives in the various key areas are appointed. And that's why he has given that in 90 days, and that's about 3 months, in 90 days, he will be able to establish one of the leanest government that will prosecute the agenda that has been proposed in the Constitution, in the manifesto that we launch on Saturday.
All right, let's get into the energy sector. And Flag bearer John Dramani Mahama is promising energy for sustainable development. Now, under this, he says he will initiate the Light Up Ghana project to support the 24-hour economy by resuming the Universal Street Lighting Program, promptly resolve all disputes between upstream oil and gas players and the government. Let's take it one after the other and look at the Light Up Ghana project. What exactly will this entail?
You know that in the first place, the issue of lightening our streets and our communities is an issue of national security. It's an issue of also personal security human security for our people. Indeed, you know that when you move through the streets of Accra, let's just even Accra because it's in Accra that two of us are in, you see how dark the place is. Sometimes when you are even flying and you are landing in Accra in the night, you see how dark the city looks like. And because of the fact that we also think that we need to have the power sector needs to support the 24-hour flagship program that he has proposed. It is important to have all places lit properly during the night. Indeed, my brother, as a country, we do not actually have a street light policy. I'll give you a typical example. You have a situation where somebody is, the Ministry of Energy goes to say, Bongo to put on street lights. The Ministry of Energy has put on the street light, all right. But as to who maintains the street lights, it becomes a problem. Is it the municipal or maybe the district that is responsible? If it is on the road, is it the road and highways that are responsible in maintaining it? We do not have a clear policy as to how street lights are even managed in this country. And one of the proposals is that we would be bringing out a framework that will clearly demarcate the rules and those who are responsible. And we intend doing that with a third-party insurance cover. So, for example, you have a situation where you can say that, look, the whole ceremonial streets of Accra, you give it out to, maybe say a contractor who deals with it. But that is supported with an insurance cover. Said that at the end of the day, I know that if I am driving through the streets of Accra, I know that there's a person who is responsible for that. The insurance company that is providing that you are paying the premium to also is very clear in his mind as to how to support the contractor to be able to work in these areas. Because we have come to a situation where consistently government tries to put street lights in all places, and within a week you realize that they are gone either through theft, either through people coming to road users hitting and running. And so because of some of these things, we say that we are going to have a clear policy as to the ownership of this, to who is supposed to maintain that, but most importantly is to make light, because if I have to run a business in the night at 1 a.m., I would want to be comfortable that where I am running my business, whether it is maybe in a pharmacy or whether it's in a fuel station, that it is properly lit because of the issues of security. So that is what is important. So these are part of the ingredients that will generally support the flagship program of the 24-hour economy.
Well, there's also talk about resolving disputes between upstream oil and gas players and the government of Ghana. Would this in any way have TOR as part of its plans?
No, so TOR falls under the downstream sector. But yes, TOR will be dealt with. But in the upstream sector, look, let me give you, there are two major issues that, for example, we can deal with. One has to do with GRA and for the GRA and then the IOCs. You have a situation where they do not have clarity as to what they are responsible, what they are supposed to pay in terms of their tax obligations. They are there, and before you realize, you have GRA officials come into their offices asking that they need to pay some taxes here and there. Now, because of that, as we speak now, there's a major dispute between Talo and the government of Ghana through GRA. We are saying that some of these things can be dealt with if it is done transparently. So from the word go, if I know that I have an agreement with you as a sovereign state and that you operate within my territory, there should be clarity as to what your tax obligations are. And what people, because one of the things that IOCs who really invest so much into their businesses would want is the issue of certainty of regulation. So I know that if I'm investing, I know that within this particular jurisdiction, these are the type of taxes I'm supposed to pay. And this is how they are paid. These are the risks I'm supposed to do. But I do not just sit in my office and within the twinkle of an eye, I see a revenue official enter into my office and tell me that I owe X, Y, Z, without really knowing as to how where this thing is premised on. So that's one aspect. The other aspect has to do with the fact that some, preventable issues, like, for example, the issue we had with ENI. Look, because of the conflict that we had with ENI, for almost 4 or 5 years now, there has been, a curtailment of investment in our sector. Why? IOCs, they speak to each other. They know that, for example, I have a colleague, IOC, that is in your country. You are having a dispute with him by virtue of the fact that you are breaching certain agreements you came to when you signed the petroleum agreement. Indeed, if you look at most of the IOCs now, they are moving to our neighbors, that's in Cote d'Ivoire, to invest in that area. Look, we had our highest production in terms of crude oil somewhere in 2019. As we speak now, we are declining in terms of the amount of oil that we produce in the country. So we are saying that, look, we are going to resolve these issues, the issues of contractual issues, the issues of taxes, and all other things that the impediment that is making IOCs come to invest there. Because you know why? We are running against time. We are talking about the transition, energy transition, where fossil fuels are supposed to be phased out. Meanwhile, we have these assets that are stranded under the belly of this in our country. We must find a way of exploiting this particular resource and ensuring that we use them to the betterment of our people. The only way we can do that is to create Ghana and create an environment that will make it very conducive for the IOCs to come. We are not saying that to just give them easy deals and whatever. No, but let's be very transparent. All that businessmen want is transparency and clarity of policies that they can look at and agree with and start their investment. That is the only way they can tell their shareholders that this investment I'm doing in country A or country B will yield these dividends because they have clarity of rules, they have clarity of policy, and that they respect sanctity of contract. That is exactly what we are. And if you look at this current government, because of the fact that they arbitrarily just terminate contracts, they change the terms of agreement and what have you, we have found a way of, as a country, now falling back to countries like Cote d'Ivoire, who were ahead of them in terms of production of crude oil in this country.
Honorable, one of the major issues in the sector has to do with premix fuel distribution. How do you hope to resolve this issue when indeed you are elected into power?
So there are two things, and it's part of the thing. So there are two things that we are looking at. One is to first look at the transparency of it. Now, you have situations where premix now, if you go to the communities, the fishing areas, premix, the administration of premix is being handled by party officials. You have situations where party chairman, local chairman, and other things are the ones who are the premix chairman and what have you in the various areas. Indeed, sometimes you go into certain communities and the chairman the chairman of the premix committees are not even fishermen themselves. And so you see that they divert it. And I'll tell you, if you look at premix is just, if you look at the difference between premix and then diesel, it is not that very huge. And so because of that, what they do is that sometimes they remix it and sell them as adulterated products, even for you to use in your car. So it is one area we will have to streamline properly. That's the first point. Secondly, we have also indicated that, look, beyond just using, fossil fuel to run our boats, we are saying that, look, it is possible because there are some examples in other countries where with very small electric engines, they can power their canoes into the waters to be able to fish. And so we will run these two things concurrently, having a transparent way of ensuring that the fishermen take control over the administration of the permit and not to hand it over to party officials, and two, to also introduce in a way, and because that becomes also part of the sustainable energy effort that we are doing, that to introduce a bit of electric powered motors that can actually propel these particular canoes and other things for them to go and fish. So it's a two-way thing that we're doing, transparency in the administration of the premix, and two, also gradually introducing electric motors that will be used in this fishing activity.
Honorable, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to future engagements on the NDC's policies to develop the energy sector of the country. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you for having me, my brother.
The Honorable Edward Bauer is the Member of Parliament for Bongo, and he speaks on the NDC's policies for developing the energy sector. Let's now visit the opposing camp. Akosia has a story from the MPP.
Yes, the New Patriotic Party's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says he has what it takes to transform Ghana if he elected president in the December polls. At a media engagement in Accra, Dr. Bawumia says majority of Ghana's challenges could be addressed if digitalization is given more attention. Here's a news desk report by my colleague Samir Yafi.
According to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, his government will forego any honeymoon period and start work immediately upon taking up office. He outlined a series of immediate actions, including preparing a budget as quickly as possible for implementation with key economic policies. Among his topmost priority is the introduction of tax amnesty and a flat tax regime, both of which he aims will be ready in his first budget in March 2025.
And with a flat rate, what we want to do is to bring a lot more predictability in import duty payment. At the moment, there isn't predictability, and there's a lot of discretion that seems to come in from time to time. And so what we are saying is that we're going to bring in a flat rate in cities.
On Ghana's economic challenges, Dr. Bawumia says he saw the country's economy crashing in the year 2022 when inflation was pegged at 54%.
It was very scary. In fact, in 2022, this economy was on the verge of collapse because you saw our reserves declining very steeply. The exchange rate was blowing up, inflation was up, and my worry at that time, frankly, was that I could see this country moving towards Sri Lanka.
On the National Cathedral and what he intends to do if elected president, Dr. Bawumia says he will engage Christian leaders on the way forward.
We need to sit down and talk if the design has to be looked at again to make sure it can be completed. We have to put everything on the table, but I will be minded more by the churches and the church leaders and the discussions that we should have with them on the way forward. But I think it's an important issue.
Dr. Bawumia also pledged his commitment to protect journalists and advise his followers to refrain from attacking journalists in the country.
And so I'm very committed to this because inherently someone who is very committed to democracy. And I don't think that anyone should attack a member of the press for doing their job. And so we will totally be against that and ask all our supporters to refrain absolutely from doing that.
The media encounter did not end without some few jabs to his main opponent, John Dramani Mahama of the NDC.
Sometimes I get a little surprised and amazed the former president when he talks about economic mismanagement. He should know his own record. I mean, we don't all have short memories. We really don't all have short memories. His record in economic management, what he left us with in 2016 was an abysmal record.
That was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, NPP presidential candidate, and then that report by Citi News' Sammy Riafe.
Let's go over the phone lines and speak to Director of Communications for the Dr. Bawumia campaign team, Dennis Miracles Abuaje. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I believe you must be tired, having stayed up or late for that press encounter with the flag bearer.
We're already on the road. You know, we are touring some other constituencies in Accra, so we're currently at Ablekuma West.
Very well. I'm sure you did your own assessment after the program. Kindly help us understand how it went from the perspective of your team.
Well, the objective was quite clear. We have a manifesto launched, which clearly sets out the vision and the policies of the party and the flag bearer going into the elections. And it was very crucial that we deepen the dissemination of the manifesto and engage the people through the media on critical issues. I think you'd agree that we have never seen a certain vice president or even a flag bearer subject himself to such long hours of grilling, questioning, and engagement with the media. I mean, we've had flag bearers engage the media on several scores, but you would undoubtedly agree that 4 hours of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's engagement with the media yesterday was quite frank, was brutal, it was intense, and rightly so, it was engaging. And for me, I think that is what the objective was for us, and it was quite clearly met.
For those who say that the vice president did not have direct answers to some of the questions and fell into the manifesto to read out what he had already promised, or in some cases where he couldn't make reference to the manifesto, sought to jab the opposing flag bearer, that's John Dramani Mahama, what would you say to such persons?
Well, what would you want me to do? You would want me, as a vice president or as flag bearer, to be telling you things in the air and just throwing you words around, or you'd want me to contextualize it and tell you exactly what it is. I don't believe that the expectation is for me, the flag bearer or the vice president, to be reciting things on top of my head, whether I believe in it or not. There is absolutely nothing wrong for anybody at all to receive a question and make reference to the specific documents that have the specific data and information and to respond to it. I mean, I could tell you that I have created millions of jobs. Another person would tell you that I have created 1,000 jobs. I think that the best answer is the one that is definite to tell you that I've created 1,000 jobs. The one that is evading is the one that says I've created thousands of jobs. And I think what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sought to do was to provide answers that are quite definite and quite specific. And I think yesterday he did justice to that. For each of the questions that were asked, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia took his time without haste to respond to them. And he also ensured that in his responses, he made references to various issues that are related and connected to these questions. And I think that is what the Ghanaian people are deserving of and were expecting. Because if you're home, tuned in, and watching Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia give you these answers, you would want to hear the answers and so many other things that are related and connect to you. And I think he did just that. I don't think there's absolutely anything wrong at all with you speaking to the vice president or the flag bearer and he giving you definite answers, specific answers from his manifesto. The manifesto is the basis of his request for us to make him president. The manifesto is a document that is basically keeping every single pledge and promise or assurance that is given to the Ghanaian people. And I think if there is anything at all, he did right by referring to the manifesto in every single sense to ensure that we are all connected and all on the same page as a people going into the election.
For a sector as critical as the cocoa sector, I mean, you would expect that if the vice president, of course, flag bearer of the MPP, is meeting the press, he would have enough briefing to be able to answer questions on this. But it appeared as though the vice president says he didn't have all the briefing and could not respond to some of the questions within the cocoa sector.
He didn't say that. And again, that's the problem with a lot of this. Go and play the video again. The gentleman who has the question has a specific question. He says that the cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. That is what he said. And that what is he going to do about the cocoa board that is on the verge of collapse? And the vice president's answer was categorical. He says he is not aware that the cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. And he doesn't know what he is talking about and which data he is referring to. I think he responded to the cocoa board question and responded well. The fact that you are saying that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse doesn't make it a fact. And so if I'm not aware that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse, what you need to do now is to show and prove that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. I don't have to come and prove for you. And the vice president doesn't believe that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. And I think he responded to it. I don't think cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. So if you come and ask me what I would do about it, I'm sorry, but cocoa board is on the verge of collapse, and I am not aware that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. He did not, under any circumstance, evade that question. He responded to a specific question. It had nothing to do with cocoa sector. It was specifically to cocoa board. The gentleman says it is on the verge of collapse, and he says he doesn't know what he's talking about because, as far as he knows, cocoa board is not on the verge of collapse, and he's not aware that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. And I don't think that even as we speak now, cocoa board is actually on the verge of collapse. That is false.
But are we aware of the challenges in the cocoa sector? And if we are, how do we intend addressing them?
But he was not asked a question on the challenges in the cocoa sector. I hope you are putting that on record. The question was on cocoa board being on the verge of collapse. It had nothing. There was no question yesterday on the cocoa sector. If there was a question on the cocoa sector, he would have responded to it. He was asked whether cocoa board is on the verge of collapse and what he would do about it. And cocoa board is not on the verge of collapse, and that's exactly what he indicated.
Very well, but what is in the manifesto for the cocoa sector?
I mean, there are several things happening within the cocoa sector at the moment. You'd realize that we have a lot of old farms as we speak in the country, and there's a program running that is ensured that we rehabilitate and resuscitate these farms to help boost our production. You'd understand that in the past few seasons, cocoa production has gone down, and two critical things. Our cocoa farms are not producing as much as they used to, and then we're going through the challenges of smugglers. And so these are things that cocoa board has clearly come out to indicate what strategies they are putting in place. They've spoken about the hand pollination schemes that they are putting in place. They've spoken about the rehabilitating of these farms, that they are incentivizing the farmers to cut down the old farms, regrow them, and in some cases, even giving them monetary support to motivate these farmers to get into this rehabilitation of these farms. And that is what is being done at the moment. And you agree that these things, once you put them in place, because it's cocoa, you give yourself some 2-3 years before you begin to see the results. It happens within the cocoa sector periodically. At some point, you'd have a lot of aging trees, a lot of aging farms across the country, and you have to go through this process of rehabilitation. And that is one of the things that Cocoa Board, I think about 2 or 3 days ago, I heard the Cocoa Board CEO speak about some of these things and some of the strategies they are putting in place. And these things are ongoing in the effort of trying to ensure that we improve our production.
Very well. Now, you say you're back on the road. Which areas are you visiting, and what message is Dr. Bawumia preaching to the persons in these areas?
Well, this afternoon, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had an engagement with the people of Ablekuma West. In fact, he met some traders in the area, and clearly he had a conversation with them on the Women Traders Empowerment Fund, which basically is a fund that he believes is crucial in boosting women trade, women businesses, so that they can expand and do more. He's basically visited Ablekuma North earlier on in the morning, and he's just about to wrap up with the community engagement with the people of Ablekuma West. And for each of these constituencies, the message is simple. We have built a foundation up to a point. We have seen successes and we have seen challenges. Based on the foundation that we have built, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia remains the best pair of hand going into these elections to protect the successes that we've chalked so far as a country, in the same effort of mobilizing the rest of the country to pursue what is outstanding for us to be able to get to where we are going to. And for each of the sectors and for each of the category of citizens, he has a message for them. For the traders, he's pushing for expansion in production, incentivizing and motivating them so they can have some capital reinjection into their businesses. For the people, for the ordinary person, for the young, productive Ghanaian, for the citizen in Ablekuma North and Ablekuma West, he says that we need to move away from the era of having cash to be able to access the basic necessities of life. With the digitalization that we have introduced, with all the synchronization we've done, with the databases that we've synchronized across different touch points, it's time for us to be able to build a very composite, comprehensive credit scoring system, which will ensure that the young Ghanaian person or the Ghanaian citizen everywhere would be able to access the basic things they require and pay small. This, and in turn, would help boost demand, increase the demand of these things. And then, of course, once the demand is high, we need to be able to meet the supply end. And so it will help businesses to be able to expand. And as these businesses are expanding, they would have to employ a lot more people. The manifesto is heavy, 90% on jobs and businesses. And that is what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is preaching to the people of Ghana.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dennis, and we wish you well.
Thank you, too.
Dennis Miracles Abuaje is the Director of Communications for the Dr. Bawumia campaign team. Let's get into some other stories, Akusia.
Yes, President Akufo-Addo has once again touted his achievements within the road sector. Nana Akufo-Addo says his government has criticized or has constructed more roads than any government under the Fourth Republic. Speaking at a sword-cutting ceremony for expansion works on the Tema motorway, President Akufo-Addo says this will bring relief to users of the motorway.
Our focus is extended to the asphalt overlay of major streets and corridors, as well as the resealing, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and graveling of various road links. These efforts are aimed at improving road quality, riding quality, ensuring safer journeys for all commuters, and bolstering the region's socio-economic development. Amongst the completed projects in the Greater Accra region during my tenure are: 1. Asphalt overlays of selected roads to the extent of 971 kilometers in the Greater Accra region. 2. Construction of the motorway roundabout phase 1. 3. Construction of Obetebe-Lamte interchange phase 1.
You heard that, President Akufo-Addo.
To the cash process.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Are you ready to turn your dreams into reality?
Don't just dream it, own it with a loan from Fidelity Bank. Dreaming of a new home? Own it with Fidelity Mortgage Loan. Dreaming of smelling the scent of a brand new tear rubber car? Own it with Fidelity Auto Loan. Dreaming of getting the latest phone, TV, fridge, furniture, laptop or gaming console? Own it with Fidelity Consumer Asset Finance. Dreaming of expanding your business? Make it a reality with our business loan. Fidelity Bank is offering flexible loans to businesses, salaried workers and the self-employed at a competitive rate. Dial 0800 003355 or visit any of our branches nationwide today to turn your dream into reality with a Fidelity Bank loan. Terms and conditions apply. Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.
Fidelity. If I believe with us, Fidelity. If I know I dey your side, Fidelity.
Oh, jump on now. Go, the go. Gugomi, at what time when you come back, we are not hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car? No, I not change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so. This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir. Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them. Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel? Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you. Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside? I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small. Go. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Monday edition of the Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Akusia Ochre. The details now. Ghana's inflation rate is projected to decrease to between 15% and 18% by the end of 2024, according to Deloitte's West Africa Economic Outlook. This decline is expected to continue into 2025, with inflation potentially dropping below 10% by 2026, assuming stable conditions. However, Deloitte warned of potential risks that could disrupt this trend. There's more in this report.
Since August 2023, Ghana's inflation has generally been on a downward trajectory despite occasional fluctuations. Deloitte attributes this decrease to the government's tight monetary policies, ongoing fiscal consolidation efforts, and relatively stable transportation costs. The country's annual inflation rate has decreased significantly from a peak 54.1% in December 2022 to a 27-month low of 20.9% in July 2024. Deloitte anticipates that this disinflationary trend will persist throughout the second half of the year, aligning with the Bank of Ghana's year-end inflation target of 15% plus or minus 2%. However, Deloitte cautioned that increased spending related to the upcoming elections could boost the money supply, potentially leading to a demand-pull inflation.
That was a news desk report filed by Edna Agnes Boache. Now, Managing Director of GCB Bank PLC, John Kofi Adomako, has stated that the bank continues to record strong and higher quality earnings as well as improved returns to shareholders despite the challenges and uncertainties in the market. Mr. Adomako explains that a strong focus on sales and transaction banking, growth in the bank's client base, and growing relationships drove the bank's 2024 half-year performance. John Kofi Adomako was speaking at the Facts Behind Figures program organized by the Ghana Stock Exchange.
As of half year 2024, the reason for which we are here, our continuing strong focus on a diverse customer base and transaction banking across the business recorded a deposit growth of 21% to end the period for half year at 26.4 billion. Gross loans increased by 20% to 9.5 billion, supported by growth in our client base and deepened relationships with our existing clients.
That was Managing Director of GCB Bank PLC, John Kofi Adomako. Now, the flag bearer for the National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Mahama, has stated plans to hold a national economic dialogue within the first 120 days if elected. Now, the initiative will include developing a 4-year fiscal consolidation plan aimed at eliminating several taxes, such as the e-levy and the 10% betting tax. While speaking at the party's manifesto launch in Winneba in the Central Region over the weekend, Mr. Mahama stressed the significance of the dialogue for reset in the country's economic situation.
In the first 120 days in office, we will hold a national economic dialogue to draw up a 4-year fiscal consolidation plan. We would rationalize taxes, abolishing, among others, the obnoxious e-levy, the COVID levy, and the 10% levy on bet winnings.
Additionally, Mr. Mahama outlined plans to establish farm banks in agricultural zones to improve land access and provide irrigation facilities for farming purposes.
We'll set up agro-industrial zones in all regions. We'll get a site in every region. Government will clear the site. We'll develop the site. We'll bring water, electricity to the site. And any private sector developer who wants to produce to buy agro products and process can come and get a land within the agro processing zone and start his business, so that he doesn't have to go and quarrel with families. They'll sell him land, another person will come, no, the land was not for this one. Government will secure the land so that they can easily set up their businesses.
That was flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama. Now to the camp of the Vice President and NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He says implementation of a flat rate policy under his leadership will enhance predictability in payment of import duties for importers. He spoke at the Meet the Press engagement on Sunday.
Whether second-hand clothing and spare parts will be paying the same rate. No, I think that the categories will be different. And with a flat rate, what we want to do is to bring a lot more predictability in import duty payment. At the moment, there isn't predictability, and there's a lot of discretion that seems to come in from time to time. And so what we are saying is that we're going to bring in a flat rate in cities. So if you are bringing in spare parts and there's a 40-foot container of spare parts, you will know exactly what the duty is for the spare parts, say 20,000 cedis or 15,000 cedis or 30,000 cedis. It's a flat rate.
Dr. Bawumia also expressed optimism that Ghana will transition to a credit-based economy by end of 2024.
We are going to begin, proper wholesale individual credit scoring, which would then provide us a basis so that people can buy their cars. And someone was talking about the local producers and all of that. Once they know that we can offer this to teachers and they can pay over time, or to journalists and they can pay over time, they don't have to bring all the cash at once.
You heard there Dr. Bawumia, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Well, the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abena Osei-Asare, has stressed the critical need to strike a balance between fostering innovations in the financial ecosystem, including digital currencies, and upholding ethical standards. Well, this call comes as Ghana's first financial sector undergoes a rapid transformation driven by technological advancements and the increase in adoption of digital financial products. Abena Osei-Asare was speaking at the maiden edition of the ACI Financial Markets Conference.
Ghana's financial markets stand at a threshold of a new era, an era marked by unprecedented innovation, increasing demand for ethical excellence, and the imperative of inclusion. Innovation is transforming the fabric of our financial landscape. Fintech and digital currencies are redefining the way we transact, invest, and manage risk. But with innovation comes the need for ethical excellence. We must ensure that our pursuit of progress is guided by integrity, transparency, and accountability. Inclusion is the third pillar of our future. We must harness the power of financial markets to serve the unserved, the underserved, and the marginalized. We must break down barriers and create opportunities for all Ghanaians to participate in our financial ecosystem.
Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abena Osei Asare. We're wrapping up tonight's edition of the City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Akusia Orchid. Do stay with us. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Looking for the perfect ride? Universal Motors has you covered. Drive the stylish Volkswagen T-Cross or conquer any terrain with the rugged Volkswagen Amarok, perfect for business or leisure. Both assembled right here in Ghana. Plus, enjoy 0% VAT and save up to 40,000 Ghana cedis when you act fast. But hurry, this deal won't last forever. Call or WhatsApp us now on 054-433-8804. Your dream car for work or play is just a call away with Universal Motors. Call us now on 054-433-8804.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the whole family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
A dry spell has hit parts of Ghana from the transition zone all the way to the northern parts of the country, and this is impacting cropping in these areas, posing a potential threat to food security. Now, on Point Blank tonight, the government has been announcing some measures to mitigate the impact of this dry spell. So first off, we'll hear from the minister responsible for food and agriculture, Brian Achampo, and then we'll hear from the finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, on plans to mitigate the impact of the dry spell.
With immediate effect, government is placing a ban on the export of grains, including maize, rice, soya bean, until the situation normalizes. This measure is essential to ensure the availability of these critical crops on the domestic market. Any farmer with stock and interested in selling should contact our district directorates across the country, our district aggregators, or the Directorate of Crops, Ministry of Agriculture. This is to ensure that farmers do not suffer adversely from this ban. As earlier mentioned, the affected regions contribute over 62% of our grain supply. With the projected shortfall in grain supply, government will tap into the ECOWAS grain reserve and partner with the private sector to bridge the gap. Government will also bring in 300,000 metric tons of maize and 150,000 metric tons of rice to provide food support to vulnerable farmers who have lost their crop and also for the market. Additionally, we will bring in a total volume of 26,000 metric tons of poultry feed to directly support the poultry industry, as maize, their main raw material, has been severely affected. The following interventions will also be targeted directly at farmers to bring them relief. Cash transfers. We have identified 928,523 farmers cultivating 1.8 million hectares who are at risk, but been able to confirm 435,000 of the at risk. We have been able to confirm 435,000, cultivating 871,000 hectares. Government has decided to provide financial support amounting to 1,000 Ghana cedis per hectare to the most vulnerable among these farmers as partial cover for their investment. Government will also provide affected vulnerable farmers with some food grant to enable them meet their minimum nutritional requirement. Input support. Seed replanting assistance. For farmers whose crops have failed due to the lack of rain, we will be launching a replanting support program. This will include the provision of fast maturing seeds that can still be planted within the remaining window of the season. Farmers who need to replant will also be provided with grant fertilizers to ensure that they can still achieve a reasonable yield. Planting for Food and Jobs is focused on input credit, but for the affected farmers who have lost their investment, we need to run a blend, and the government intervention will be to provide them with some input grant, and they also have access to the input credit. This will help mitigate the financial burden on farmers who are facing additional costs due to the dry spell. Let me also mention that there will be a boost in input support for farmers in the southern sector to maximize their production in the minor season. It is important that we do this to bridge so that we can reduce the food that we intend to bring in. So if we can boost production in the southern sector, which planting season is starting now, it will help us reduce the food that we intend to bring in. Farmer relief support. The following interventions will also be targeted at farmers to bring them relief, which is activating all our extension officers across the country and the private sector aggregators extension officers on ground to help with the proper agronomic and soil conservation practices to help retain soil moisture and give the crops the best chance to survive. To avert future reoccurrence, the ministry, through the Food Systems Resilience Project, is working with GMET to provide agro-meteorological forecasts and advisories for agriculture. Let me mention that one of the things that affected, even though we communicated to farmers in a way, not every farmer was able to get the information. And so what we are experiencing, what we are seeing now on the ground is that the planting season has been delayed by 1 month because the meteorological information could not reach farmers. Many farmers planted and therefore got caught up in this challenge that we are in. So we have acquired 20 automatic weather stations for GMET. which will be installed at key locations nationwide. We recognize, in conclusion, that the ultimate and sustainable solutions to the current situation, which is a reflection of the inherent risk of climate change, is the provision of irrigation and water management systems that support all year-round farming. To this end, we shall mobilize the required resources to complete all irrigation projects under the Agricultural Economic Enclaves Program, as well as the completion of all irrigation projects in the pipeline. The PFJ 2.0 continues to be our roadmap to achieving food security and resilience. Government will remain focused on the program and ensure that the rollout of all the planned interventions to meet the targets. MOFA will continue to monitor the crop situation in both the northern and southern minor seasons and of course sectors, and keep the nation informed. Thank you very much. We have on the screen some images of the situations up north. If you can continue scrolling. So this is a farm, a wilted maize farm in Pandai in the Oti region. This farm is more than 100 acres. And this is what you see as the sort of height of the farm. Sorry, Pandai in northern region. This is a 2-month-old maize plant. 2 months. I want to show you a 500-acre rice farm in the Bono East region, near a village called Jatokrom, close to Kentampo. This is a 500-acre rice farm completely destroyed. When my officer appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, which is a director of JIDA, he did mention and has provided locations of all the 574 dams that have been built, each of them with an irrigable area of about 15 hectares. So the dams are there. We are talking about a drought or a near drought condition, a dry spell. So when there is a dry spell, it means that there is no water. The dams are not rivers or streams or they are from river in this case. They are dugouts that holds rain water. And therefore, if there is no rain, the dams cannot function to support. But if there is rain, then it can store some water and at least extend the cropping life of the irrigable area that the dams are situated. Yes, indeed, we have built 80 warehouses, 1,000 metric tons each. They are all over the country, about 69 of them completed. The remainder, maybe in about the next couple of months, they will be completed. We are putting on an advert for private sector person to come and manage these warehouses. So they are there and they are not a failure. What it is that we need more warehouses. We consume 2.5 million metric tons of maize. We consume about 1.4 million metric tons of rice. Soya, sorghum, millet, close to about another million metric tons. What we have built is about 80,000 metric tons. So your grains that you consume per annum, you are looking at what? About 5 million metric tons. But your warehouses, the entire installed capacity of warehouses that we have in this country, both private sector, for excluding cocoa, for grains, we are looking at about 250,000 metric tons. So it is not a failure of policy. What we need to do is for government to invest more money into the construction of grain reserves. And that is why we are building a 60,000 metric ton in one location in Hwehwe in the Kwo East District, such a silo to be able to hold the grain reserve. The ECOWAS grain reserve is a reserve that in part is also managed by National Buffer Stock. These are grain reserves that we all contribute into. So it is not a grain reserve that is for example, our neighboring countries. It's for all of us. Last year we had a big bumper harvest. If you were in this country, everybody knows that last year we had a great bumper harvest, which bumper harvest led to a 50 kg bag of maize dropping to as low as 145 Ghana cedis. We were in this country where farmers were complaining that because of the bumper, they can't even sell their maize because the prices have become that low. So the investment that we put in is working. So tapping from, when you have a bumper harvest, you invest in this grain reserve. And when you have times like this, you fall on the grain reserve for your portion to feed your country. So it is not a failure. It is something that we have all contributed to. Kofi Tremantin asked a question of political season cash distribution. I think the finance minister has dealt with it. But let me also add that from August of last year to August of this year, we have done probably in one season the single largest distribution of inputs in Ghana. Check. The single largest distribution of inputs to our farmers have been done from last year August to this year August. Around the country, did you hear one comment from any corner of this country, any district, that program was politicized? No. You don't politicize food. And we have a record of that distribution. When we gave the inputs to the flood victims, we distributed about inputs to 20,000 people for the flood victims. Not a single person mentioned that it had been politicized.
They're responsible for food and agriculture, Brian Achampong, addressing the press on measures instituted by government to mitigate the impact of the dry spell on food and agriculture. But that'll be all for Point Blank, and of course, that'll be all for Eyewitness News here on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Nanatufo Boateng. I did this with Akusia Ochri. Production by Nana Kobna Wilson, Samiria Fe Bevlin London. Technical support, Emmanuel Latte. Social media support, Edwin Kwao Kofi. Thank you for your time this evening. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good night.